far. So I'm not 100% convinced that the results of recent presidential elections are mainly due to Russian influence, but I'm convinced that Russian information war really targets the audiences in Ukraine and other European countries and tries to destroy trust in governments, parliaments, and democratic structures. I think our next speaker, James Appathurai, from Canada, representing NATO here with us, has even more experience from his position with non-kinetic threats and what those threats, cyber threats, war on information, mean for the functioning of our societies. Recently, for example, I understood even better that the anti-EU campaign, the anti-US campaign, the anti-democratic campaign of Russia is also contributing to the inability of Western European societies to support the NATO financial targets. So the impact of Russian warfare is very, very visible in our debates, especially in Western societies.
So thank you very much, and I'll try to stick to my time. You're absolutely right that this is effective, but I think it's very important, and we do this from a NATO point of view, but it's very important to put this into the broader spectrum. So for those of you who are interested in really understanding why the Russians are doing what they're doing and how they do it, I commend to you an article written in spring of 2013 by General Gerasimov, who is their chief of defense, and he lays it all out there. It's all clear, and it's all published, and it's all on the internet. And in essence, what he says is that Russia needs to integrate and weaponize all the tools available to society, military and non-military, state and non-state. And the aim is basically to hack the society of the opponent, to create confusion, to create discord, to make them unable to resist or less able to resist. So this is all very clear. And it's important also to note that, yes, there's a greater emphasis on non-kinetic, but it includes kinetic. It's a full spectrum from the lowest end of peaceful tools right up to the full use of not just little green men, but big green tanks. It's all part of the toolbox. And then you use it in a very flexible way, and you try to do it in an ambiguous way and below the threshold that will trigger a military response. So again, this is all clear. And it's not just an article. Russia does it. It's part of their policies. It's part of their exercise program. They've established a headquarters in Moscow to control all the tools of state power. President Putin went there to launch it. It's on TV, so you can see that. So none of this is a secret. But you know, when I was in school, they taught me that Russia was like an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, wrapped in a riddle, but my experience is exactly the opposite. They say exactly what they're going to do. They say it 10 times, then they do it, and then we're surprised. Because we can't believe anyone would do it, but they did. So that's the first thing to establish. This is a full spectrum use of tools to hack our societies. And it includes, as you mentioned, cyber attacks. It includes buying political parties, funding NGOs, disinformation, energy cutoffs, covert operations, overt operations, military pressure. All of these things are employed all the time. And if you look across Europe, there are a whole number of political parties that are closely associated with the Kremlin, and in their own countries advocate for a softer approach to Russia, a harder approach to NATO. So this is all very, very clear. So that's point one. We need to put it into the full spectrum. Second, NATO has finally recognized this, and we've actually taken a number of steps which I think are maybe useful for the conversation to try to start insulating ourselves. So first, we're starting to connect the dots. So we had all of our different areas in silos, the cyber people, the energy people, the information people. Now they're all together. Second, we have started to building resilience to our cyber systems. Energy, the EU does that. Disinformation, we're much more alert to disinformation, to sharing the alert, and to responding quickly. Immediate response. So we don't allow the story to continue. We have a rapid reaction response team. And then the fourth element that I would note is, and this is one good aspect of all of this, is it has driven a closer cooperation between NATO and the European Union than we ever had. Because the EU realized that they don't have, in particular, the military strength to resist that end of the spectrum. And we realized we didn't have the civil strength to resist that end of the spectrum. So we've set up a very close relationship, 74 areas where we cooperate together, and I actually developed with the EU what we call a playbook. If you see this, who does what to respond to it? And we exercise together every year. Military exercises, but that include a very heavy hybrid element. So we're getting to grips with it. And finally, I would mention we have, and I should say Finland has, set up a hybrid center of excellence in Helsinki and connected that to other centers of excellence that focus on specific areas like information, like cyber, like energy, etc. So there's a real network now of expertise where they share information, where we open up support and training not just to allies and EU member states, but to partners. So there is actually a response starting to take place.
Thank you.